Good evening and welcome to another episode of His Will for Your Life. I am your host, Sherry Levon Harris, and I have joining me this evening is our all-male panel. Yes, they are back with part 3 of the responsibility of being a man. Please like, share, and comment on this podcast. And however, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you may do so at this time. We'll be right back.
His Will for Your Life with Cherie Harris. This is your weekly Wednesday 7 p.m. podcast. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Informative, hot topics, testimonies, interviews, along with your weekly guests and more. And now here's your host, Cherie Harris.
Greetings. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
All is well.
Y'all ready?
Yes.
Brother Thomas.
Pastor Thomas, how are you?
He's a little frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen.
Ready.
So we're going to start at
Is
the
it me
top.
that's frozen?
Yes, sir. So we are going to start with our guest and let him reintroduce himself to the people. We haven't seen him in a while. How are you, Joseph?
I am well. It has been a while. It's been some months, right?
Almost a year.
Has it been a year?
Almost, yeah.
Almost a year.
Almost,
well.
brother.
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back into the swing of things, and thank you for having me tonight.
You're welcome. Do you want to share who you are? What you do?
I am Joseph AJ. I go by Joseph AJ the Real on social media. I am a podcaster, a minister, a husband, father, friend, son, you name it, all around good guy. And I am here tonight just to express my take on the responsibilities of being a man and what that means not only just in the Christian home, but in the world and in the community at large. So I'm excited to be a part of the conversation.
Awesome. Pastor Thomas. Oh, he's frozen. So let's go on to Ray.
Why can't you leave me for last as always? Hello, all. My name is Ray. I'm glad to be back with you. Just happy to be here and sharing, like Joseph said, my thoughts on the responsibilities of being a man in life in today's society. And hope you all be blessed by the show.
Awesome. Pastor Daryl.
Who is that?
Yes, that's you, brother.
Who is that? It's me, Daryl. How y'all doing? Hey, y'all know who I am. From heaven. Came through Georgia, though. Young, old, middle-aged minister, father, trucker, you name it. Trash talker, loyal Georgia Bulldogs fan, Scooter's daddy, Sugar Mama's daddy, all of them. So y'all know who I am.
Awesome. So, brother, minister, pastor, apostle, Bishop Thomas.
God almighty.
Oh, so every time I call on him, he breathes.
I think you can hear
Hello,
you.
everyone. Shalom. I'm Pastor Thomas Simpson Jr. from Lakewood, New Jersey. Glad to be with our fellow brothers tonight to have this great discussion. I pray that you enjoy what we have to offer you tonight.
Great, great. So we're going to just start right off and seeing that you're smiling. So I'm going for you, Daryl. I'm going for you first.
That's right.
Okay. So you sure you don't want to try Ray first? Because he's usually first.
No, I'm coming for
Oh,
you today.
okay. All right. That's cool.
All
She
I'm
right.
got to
ready
give.
for
She gonna give you the softball one first. So
it. What you got? I'm ready for it.
Why do you feel men do not
Embrace what?
Mm.
embrace each other, embrace your male children, embrace, period?
Uh, well, um, I think it goes back to our childhoods, probably.
Mhm.
Men weren't, I think maybe a lot of men were taught or were led to believe that embracing people, things, one another is kind of soft. And no man that I know of personally, and I know gay men too, that don't want to be looked at as soft, no matter who they are. I just that's I think that's a simple answer when it comes to it. We were always, we were never really taught to let our emotions out. It
Mhm.
was always suck it up, stop crying, things like that. And so now we're in adulthood, and it's hard for us to just grab a brother and say I love you and hug them and things like that.
Awesome. Joseph.
I have to go with what Daryl said as well. We were, as in my generation, I'm from Virginia, so it's, you kind of get the southern hospitality of way of life and living, and being raised, by my dad, or other male figures in my life. It wasn't something that was practiced. It wasn't something to say, I love you, son, or to show affection, as a warm embrace or a kiss on the forehead. It was kind of foreign. I didn't really, and I could be wrong, but I don't really remember hearing my dad tell me that he loved me, like with an actual warmth behind it, until I was in,
Right,
in my adult life. And so in my early 20s, and there was a lot of reconciliation going on between that, but we were kind of estranged for a certain part of our relationship growing up.
Mhm.
And so to be able to be open, now, a lot of those childhood experiences they perpetuate, and they keep going from generation to generation. And so I find myself, trying to break through that and say, you know what, I love you, son, give him a hug, so on and so forth, in all the children. So it's definitely something that was taught to us by their parents,
Mhm.
whose parents were taught by their parents, and it all comes from a certain level of masculinity that is considered to be toxic, because the truth be
right,
told, everybody needs to know that they are loved, because God is our father, and he loves us unconditionally, and he shows us his love. And so because he shows us his love, he should be our mirror to be able to show love to our fellow brother, to our sons, and even our daughters, because if we don't, then who will?
Mhm. Pastor Thomas.
I'm a hugger, which is kind of weird because I'm an introvert, but I'm a hugger. So um, I've made it my business to hug my children, my sons. Um, I made it my business to tell them I love you. I made it my business to tell them I'm proud of you, that I appreciate them. Um, Growing up, that was not something that was common
Mhm.
in our family to hear it
Mhm.
or, to be hugged. I think my father said that his father never hugged him,
Mm.
right,
Wow.
and that's foreign to me. Um, my father and we don't hug a lot, but we do hug. But with my
right,
children, I make sure that when I see them, I hug them, I kiss them, I embrace them. Not just a little, but I hug them, let them know I'm here. Um, because I think one of the most powerful things on the earth is the human touch. And to
right,
go through life without a human touching that without that affirmation of a male.
Mhm.
It leaves men to their own devices and their own thoughts, and then they regurgitate what they've been taught,
Mhm.
and it's not good. I mean, I think our Father, he one of his titles is he's our comforter.
Mhm.
That means
Mhm.
that he's close. That means he touches us.
Mhm.
So I think that's what we need to do as well. We need to touch. We need to hug. I'm
Hmm.
a hugger.
Okay, introvert, right?
So when I hear this question and listen to all these answers, not growing up with my biological father and had a stepfather and really kind of like my grandfather and a couple uncles in there. Growing up, um, I never had a male hug me to say, to affirm me or to anything. And I remember the first time it happened. We were we were doing a retreat
Mhm.
for a church up in Connecticut, and this men retreat. And so the speaker, the guest speaker we had there at the end of the Saturday night session, he calls us up and says, for any man who's here who never got a hug and a affirming hug from their father, I want to just kind of symbolically stand in place and just call it one by one and give you a hug.
Mhm.
That was the first time I ever got that embrace from a male. And quite honestly, I was what, 30, 31, 32 years old at that point, right? And I literally cried like a baby
Aw.
because I never felt that before. So, agreeing with some of these men here that they never grew up. Most men never grew up having that embrace, that affection shown to them by another man. And so you grow up, you're not feeling that, and then you hear from men and women who, if you get that way, you're considered a punk, you're considered
Yep.
soft, and who
Yep.
wants to do that, right?
Right.
So you're going to gravitate away from that, right? Even if you want to, right? You're going to gravitate away from that because of the stigma that's held out there because you're just the way you are, right? Or just want a hug.
Mhm.
So a lot of men grew up in that, and it's hard to shake that.
Mhm.
Now, fast forward to now, I have two teenage men, and when they were young, we love hugging, we love running, rolling around the floor, hugging, and just kind of all that stuff. They hit teenage years, and probably hearing from their friend, it's soft to hug your dad, so
Right.
I have to like force my way in there to get a hug. When I
Right.
get in there, they're like stiff as a board, and I'm like, look, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just giving you a hug. Now, truth of
Right.
the matter is, they begin to soften up over time. Like, all right, I guess we can do this.
Mhm.
But just like Daryl and Joseph said, they want to know, and Pastor Thomas said this. I want to let them know that it's okay. I want to let them feel my affection. I want to let them know that, hey, look, I'm not just a provider. I'm not just here, but I'm a real person, and want them to be able to experience that, so they never have to wait till they're 30 plus years to get that, and get that from someone who is not their biological father.
Wow. Do you
How,
guys
to,
think that you have something to say?
no, I was gonna say, to add to that, now for me, I didn't get it from, women nor men growing up. Like it wasn't until like I remember my grandma. It wasn't until after my grandfather passed away in 2011 that I remember my grandma started saying "I love you." So that's the type of family I just grew up in. Like I never grew up in affectionate, hug type family, whether it's, men or women. I remember my dad. I remember the one time my dad gave me a hug, and and like, how you go to church, and it's not like if you go back to your home church and then you got the older church mothers there that you say, hey, Miss Betty or whatever, and she stick her cheek out for you to give her a kiss. Like that weirds me out because I didn't get it growing up. No, I'm serious. Y'all laughing, but I'm serious. I'm like, I'm sitting there stuck like a deer in headlights because I don't know what to do. I didn't get that type of affection like that growing up. So it was, to me, it was both. But my children, I hug Scooter, I hug DJ, I hug everybody as much as I could, as much as they allow me to.
Hmm. Do you guys feel that the lack of hugs and embrace from your biological dad or your mom affects your relationships today?
Yes.
Absolutely.
In which way?
It's funny because I got on my mom yesterday because I I got on her yesterday because she gave me this little church hug, and I and I popped her shoulder. I was like, "Stop giving me these church hugs." I'm in a season right now where I'm just really, it's just whatever comes to mind as long as the Holy Spirit filters it out is coming out because I'm in a season where I'm healing. And I said, "Mom's like, stop! Like we're not church brother and sister in Christ. Like you're my
Right.
mom." And so she said to me, she was like, "Well, I thought you were too old. I'm never too old. I'm your only son, first of all." It's like I'm never too old to get a hug from you. And so she literally planted her head in my chest and we like embraced for like a good like 10 minutes. But it's crazy because it's like you as the little kid in you always longs for that parent to child
Yep.
touch. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And
No matter
so
how old you get.
no matter how old you get, even to this day,
Yep.
like I want to see my dad lives in Virginia still, and sometimes the little boy in me is like cries like I want my daddy because I just want to give my
Right.
dad a hug, and once I give him a hug, I can come back home because
Right.
because he doesn't live near me, but it definitely affects your present situation sometimes.
It affects relationships a lot. I can tell you that.
Absolutely.
It affects relationship a whole lot. Cause I have been with some women, and I'm like, I hate for them to touch me. It's like, why are you
Mm,
touching me? Because they want to hold your hand, they want to put their feet up on your lap. I'm like, why are you doing this? But going through therapy and just like really spending time with God. Because like, okay, I'll even say this: when John put his hand on Jesus' chest, that was weird to me, and I know Jesus is our Savior. But when I read, I'm like, why would he do that? Why? But that's just it was always weird to me because of it.
Hmm. Anyone else before I go on to the next question?
Yeah, I'll just add this little tidbit, say it changed me because it's not something I want to keep perpetuating, right? I want to show my
Right.
children something different. So that's the way it changed me. I want to do it. I want to show it. I want to let them know that it's okay to express yourself in this way.
Hmm.
Hmm.
When someone says "man up," right? How do you feel about that term?
I hate it.
And what if it comes from the opposite sex? So when someone says "man up," instantly, how does it make you feel?
Don't just
It's an
see all our
insult.
collective faces.
Yes,
What?
I do.
But see, there's no simple definition to being a man, though, because each and every one of us can give a different definition of what being a man is. So if I, especially from a woman, not that I don't, heed a woman's advice or anything like that, but my whole mindset is you never walked in my shoes before. You'll
Right.
never have the opportunity or experience to be me. No matter what no matter how easy I make it look, that doesn't mean it's easy at all. Because being a black man in America, 6'3", 290 with locks, that's a heavy burden to carry. Because no matter which way I turn around, I'm always a threat. Whether it be to like other black people, white people, whomever, I'm always a threat to people and they don't even know me. And I call it, I mean, no matter who it is, I call everybody brother. I'm like, all right then, brother. But that's my way of trying to disarm people. Whether it doesn't matter if that person likes me or not, I still look at them as brother. Um, whether you saved or not, you're still a human being to me, so that makes you my brother. That's how I look at it.
Hmm. Anyone else?
I think it can be an insult, um, but
Absolutely.
if someone says that to me, I'll look at the message
Hmm.
and look at the situation, and I'll determine if I need to improve in that area. If I need to improve in that area, okay, good. Then I'm gonna, But right away, it's like a sting. It's like an insult. What do you mean, man up? I'm not purposely slacking. I'm not
Right.
purposely coming up short. I'm doing, for
The
at that
best you
moment, I'm
could.
doing the best that I can. Right. I
Hmm.
think I'm there.
Hmm.
So it's an insult to me. It can be almost like disrespectful. What do you mean? what do you mean man up? I don't say, if it's coming from the opposite sex, I don't say woman up or lady up, or I don't say that. I'm not telling you to be more feminine or more womanly or whatever. So like, what I mean? This, I think that's just two words to just stay away from.
Right.
Yeah.
So it does affect you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it certainly makes everything in me boil up when I hear those words, and especially coming from a female, because there's really nothing positive about that coming
Right.
at you right now. Sometimes I agree with you, Pastor. Sometimes we need to take a step back and look, if there something in there that we need to address in our own lives. But the reality of it, somebody say that to you, there's nothing positive coming out of that to you.
Right.
And so when you hear that, it really, what it means to me is that I'm not living up to your definition as to what you
Right.
think I should be doing in this situation.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, I'm a point in my life, I'm like, I don't live to please you. So,
Right.
you
Right.
know, so, I'm sorry that my actions, reactions, or words doesn't fit up to what your part is, but those are two words together that, or one word, however you put it, that it's just there's nothing good comes from it, and yes,
Mm-mm.
certainly make everything in me boil up right there.
Yep.
Mhm. What does alpha male mean to you?
Alpha male.
Hmm.
The, the term really doesn't exist if we're being honest.
I know, but it's out there.
I know. I mean, we're not a pack of lions, so
Right.
I mean,
Or the
it's
omega male, like.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think it's just something somebody came up with just
Yeah.
to boost themselves up, because honestly, it makes zero sense, like at all. Some areas somebody may deem me alpha, and other areas some they may deem me beta. So what am I supposed to do? Just stop being? It
Mhm.
makes
I
zero
think it's
sense.
yeah. I think it's a personal definition and choice.
Right.
It's also what somebody projects their view of what that should look like. And it also goes back to toxic masculinity, because what does that actually mean? Because if I'm more assertive, if I'm strong, if I have a six pack, if I have muscles coming out of my forehead, like does that make me an alpha male? Versus if
Mm-mm.
I'm overweight, if I don't go to the gym, but I'm assertive in my job and I'm taking care of my family, that makes me what? So it's we always look at society always looks at the outer appearance of what's actually happening and don't take into consider, but the word says, but God looks at the heart. And so, we add all these definitions, and it's just like, and all these identities, and we take on all these roles, and it's like, but where does it say that in the word? Where does it say that in God?
Absolutely. So
Mhm.
it puts it in line with man up. And that's
Basically.
how I look at it. Basically,
Yeah,
it's man up. So if you're not alpha, that
yeah,
roaring lion, that, every animal is subject unto you. So
you
that's
know
why I brought it up.
it's
Y-
very
You know,
hurtful.
I agree, because when you said to me, "Oh, you're my brother," it means nothing to me, right? I'm a lion. I can, just like the lion doesn't walk around roaring every time, right?
Mm-mm.
It
But
doesn't have
when he
Right.
roars, that
Exactly.
he's serious, right?
Exactly.
You do
Exactly.
not want that lion to start roaring, because you
Right.
know that there's something serious. And so, again, we have so many definitions and so many stigmas, so many labels to put on men, to just put on people in general. Because now females are saying, "I'm an alpha female,"
yeah.
right? And so all these definitions, all these stigma doesn't do any good to anyone,
Right.
right? And they say, just because Daryl is more aggressive in one way than I'm aggressive, does it mean he's more of a male than I am? Right?
Right.
No, that's his personality. That's his strength. That's what he does.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Not to come and superimpose it on me. Well, just because Daryl is this way, Joseph is that way, or Pastor Thomas is that way, doesn't mean I have to be that way. Right? And there are ways that I'm going to be a little bit more woof in that they're not. So I think one of the things we have to really try to do is to shed all these labels and tags, and everybody want to be known as somebody or something. And it causes more confusion than it does empower men. And now it's spilling over into the females because now they're thinking that no, I'm an alpha female. So, what, and whatever that means.
And
Exactly.
that's usually a term that's placed on us by women. Like most men don't walk around saying that to one another. I mean, they're just, oh, dude,
I've
oh
never
man,
heard
you're an
that.
alpha male. Most dudes don't do that. It's usually something that women place on men.
Okay. So, as men, are you responsible for female coworkers, friends, or even strangers you entertain?
Are we responsible for them?
What do you mean by that?
Are you responsible for them? So, if you're a supervisor or if you're a friend, are you responsible in telling them what they're doing incorrectly or wrong or governing them?
Oh, you mean like if a lady is coming to work half dressed or
Oh,
stuff like that?
Yes. Sorry, I
Um,
lost my voice.
I
you
think
know,
that
and
depends.
go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I think I don't know if you. Yeah, I think that depend. I think that depend. Well, I let me say this. I personally wouldn't. I think it depends on the situation. But for me personally, wouldn't feel comfortable. The example that Daryl just gave, right? I personally wouldn't feel comfortable in doing that. I would go to probably because I work in the school system. I would go to either a female colleague, teacher, or what have you, and or social worker, and say this student is or person is not dressed appropriately according to what we've set as a standard, and maybe it should be addressed. But for me personally, I don't think that can cause too many issues.
What
Number
about
one, I'm sorry.
what about daughters?
You mean for my daughters?
Daughters, all of you, your daughters.
Oh, my daughters for
Oh,
sure. I mean, I would
Right.
look my
absolutely.
daughters up. Yeah, for sure. But I'm thinking like if we were talking about like in a different setting. Now, if it's my own kids that came from me, that's a whole different story. Of course, you're not going
Absolutely.
out the house looking crazy.
Right. I mean, because now we can't even breathe in a woman's direction without her, saying, "Oh, you tried to rape me." Oh, nope, nope, nope. Or like, I've seen people talk about like what women wear to church and how they was like, "Well, she can cause a man to fall." I agree to a certain degree. I think that we should have control of our own
Yeah.
flesh and things like that.
Mhm.
However, you still have a responsibility to yourself. No, read the room. Read the room that you're in. That's my whole thing right there. Think about where you are before you do certain things.
Hmm. Hmm. So that responsibility of a man will be being led of Holy Spirit before we act upon things that we see. Right.
For me, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because I
But if
think
it was
we're
my
part of
baby, if it
right.
was my baby, hey, what you
Snatch,
doing? Snatch you right
Absolutely.
snatching them,
on up. Yep.
snatching them. But I think because we're a part of a larger ecosystem, a bigger system. We have to also be mindful of we're all interconnected, intertwined with each other. So for what Daryl just said, if a woman goes to church and she's dressed a certain way, maybe she shouldn't wear whatever she's wearing because it could cause somebody to fall. But we should be, like Daryl said, be responsible in our own actions. And it's funny because my grandmother said yesterday she was talking to me about how it was growing up and how the onus was always put on the woman. If you're dressed a certain way, it's or whatever happened to you, them,
Hmm.
it was their fault. It was never the man's fault. And that's not right because it takes two to have an issue
Yeah.
or multiple situations to come about. And so I think we're all responsible for one another to an extent. But like Pastor Sherry just said, it has to be, I feel like it definitely has to be Holy Spirit led because it can end up to be something that it didn't set out to be.
Mhm. Have you ever felt intimidated by other men? And as far as their straighten your face up, Ray, who seem to be more career or financially advanced than you are?
Probably
No.
before I knew who I
Uh,
was.
Yep.
Right.
Your face
Bef-
was tore up before I even got the question.
the answer to that for me is a resounding no. I mean, the way I am, I don't look at people and really kind of desire what they have. I have a responsibility for myself to build me up. So I'm not a person that is so get caught up in where people are in life, so to speak, especially those that are ahead of me. I don't get caught up in that. So for me, nah, I'm not looking at anybody and resenting them for anywhere where they are. I mean, if you get your where you are on the right path, great for you, and if you get on the wrong path, I hope you change at some point, but no, that for me personally, that's a resounding no.
It
Yeah, I
shows.
feel like their
Daryl.
journey is their journey,
Okay.
and where I am is my journey. So no, I'm not intimidated.
All
I'm
right.
not gonna
I have
lie.
some
Before
strong brothers. Go ahead. Come on.
before I learned who I was, absolutely, I did have issues with certain things.
Right.
It wasn't. I didn't know what. I didn't have any examples of what being a man was about to even have that confidence. It wasn't until I got filled with the Holy Spirit, I learned who I was, that I started saying, I'm good right where I belong. So that's
Mm-hmm.
my story, though. I can't talk about anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But
Jill.
now, don't
Mm-hmm.
nobody compare at all.
All
Yeah,
right. Now.
you've heard me talk on the show about my grandfather, who was my maternal grandfather, to be more specific, who was just a great influence on me. And just coming up, he was not a man that had a whole lot, but you couldn't tell by the way he
Right,
carried himself, and not even desiring, not even for 1 second looking down on himself for where he is and where other people was. So
hmm
from that standpoint, I had a great influence in my life from a very young age who, remind me that, they're where they are. And, as you say, you didn't give him anything to hold for you. So why are you going to be mad about where they are? And so, so he always tell me, be comfortable in your own skin, be
Mm-hmm.
right,
comfortable where you are. And if something is not working right, then you will have that ability to change that, right?
right.
So, either be comfortable or change where you are, and do it the right way. Always, tell me, yeah, do everything the right way.
Awesome. Joseph.
I can agree with that too. And also, before knowing who I am in Christ and knowing who God has called me to be and made me to be, there was definitely years of intimidation from peers to older guys and so on and so forth. But I'm like I keep saying, I'm on this journey of really not even self discovery, but just understanding where I am. And I can honestly say, as of today, like I'm starting to become very, very comfortable with where God has me, who He's created me to be, and what my purpose is. But definitely before, because when you don't know, you compare it to everybody else. You want to be like this person. There was a time where I hated my voice, like I didn't like the sound of my voice in a microphone, but I didn't realize that the enemy was using that to
Yep,
discourage me from speaking, because I would be doing podcasting, or I would be preaching, or I would be speaking, or I would do praise and worship. So there's a certain level of identity that comes from understanding who you are, and not only just being a man or being a son, but I'm learning even more so now that fathers play a very dynamic role in making sure that their children know who they are and know what their assignment is, and even pointing them into the direction of where God will have them to go, even if it's not the full scope of their life, but the imprint is so impactful. And I feel like we as a society don't really hone in on that until it's either too late, and then you're perpetuating the cycle again. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
So, to add to that question, do you think a man needs to know who they are or their identity before getting into a relationship?
Absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely. Before you graduate high school, absolutely.
That should be a
Before you go to
course.
high
So,
school,
so talk about that just for a moment. So let's just talk about it. You guys can go ahead. So who was going first? You, Daryl?
you asking, how soon should a man know his responsibility?
No, I
I mean,
said,
his identity
do you
before a relationship,
for a relationship? Yes.
specifically a relationship,
Specifically married.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically a relationship, because if not, you'll become an Ahab to a Jezebel if you don't.
Mm.
That's a simple answer. If you don't know who you are, you will get run over. You will be manipulated. You will be talked down on, and you will feel like you're trapped in something that you don't belong in. Nor will you be able to choose the right wife that you need.
Mm.
You won't be able to be that person. So absolutely, it has to be before you get into a relationship. I
Okay.
say in middle school is when your dad should be telling you, "Hey, bro, this is what it is."
Okay. Ray.
So I'm while I agree with Daryl here, I'm gonna go slightly a little bit more practical, just because of what most people are grown up through, and
Mm-hmm.
most people have come through. They don't have that. So what I would say is that as you continue in this life, you got to get more comfortable with who you are, right?
Hmm.
And you have to build upon that. So you can't stay stuck where you are. So I wish we could all turn back the clock and get to that point when during high school you know that. But a little bit more reality is just kind of where we are right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so really what I would hope the men that are listening to, and females to a certain extent, is start instilling in their sons and daughters about who they are, right? So that they don't have to struggle for 20 plus years in trying to figure out who they are, their identity, to figure out all these things in life, because life itself is going to throw enough curveball at them. And so again, while I agree with Darrell, it should start earlier. The reality of it, for most people, it doesn't. And you
Hmm.
don't start to realize that till maybe you're in your late 20s and 30s, and just really start unraveling and figure that out. So I would just encourage every man to kind of where they are right now to take that step back and figure out who they are if they don't know, or if they're having trouble with identifying who they are and how they're supposed to operate in this life.
Thomas.
I think it's crucial. The sooner the better. But to everyone's point, for most of us, it did not happen very while we were young. It's
Hmm.
been a discovery journey. It's been a process. So again, I think it's incumbent upon us to have intention, to be purposeful with our children, to make sure they know who they are, make sure that they are ready for relationships. They know their identity, they know their roles, um, and be successful at that. Not to let anybody necessarily put a label on you, to
Mm-hmm.
necessarily define you. Um, but we as parents should know the purpose of our children. Sometimes we have children, we don't really ever seek to know their purpose. When the angel came to Mary or Miriam, he said, "Name your child this, because he shall save the people from their sins." So Mary knew what the purpose of her son was, and I think sometimes we as parents, we miss that. We don't know who our kids are supposed to be, because we don't know who we are. So we then can't tell them who they're supposed to be and lead them in that direction. We kind of leave it up to them. And I don't think
Mm.
that's the way it should go.
So you're talking about purpose in terms of training up a child in the way they should go. So you're kind of ordering their steps and grooming them as a child.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I
Absolutely.
think I think the identity is, I'm sorry, I think the identity is very imperative and crucial. And also too, to understand, I think what we get so caught up in the society is that we're so driven. What should the purpose of your child? What are they supposed to be doing? Not what they're going to become career wise, but what is their purpose here in the
Purpose.
earth? The purpose in the earth is to serve, praise, glorify, and honor. That's my dad right there. Praise, glorify, and honor God first in everything that they do, and then everything else comes after that. Because the word is very clear. Um, and it just leads me just really quick. Acknowledge the Lord in all His ways, and He will direct your path. Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and His righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And I think that's what Pastor said. We miss that. We miss the mark in thinking like, okay, what? is their purpose, even if we don't know the fullest extent of their calling and their assignment. But what is their purpose? The number one purpose is to give God praise. The number one purpose is to give God glory, honor that's due to Him, because without Him, none of this will be possible. And then from there, you go into, really affirming their existence. Because you are here, God says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are the head and not the tail. You are above and not beneath. You are a lender, not one who borrows. You are beautiful. You are handsome. You are loving. You are kind. You are gentle. All of those attributes that come from our Father, our Creator. And I think when we don't have that necessary identity of worth and understanding where we are and who we are, we leave the devices of the enemy to try to be like how Jesus said to Peter, the enemy sifts you like wheat, has come to try to sift you like wheat, but I prayed for you.
Desires.
You know, he desires it, right? He desires to sift you out like wheat, but I pray for you. And I pray for you because I know that you're greater than where you are right now, and you're going to be greater where you are going than where your present situation right now. And so we get so caught up on legacy building, and I'm a part of that too, because I, just being transparent and honest, I wanted my AJ Austin Joy, I wanted her to be a boy. I was like legacy, my last name carrying on, because we say that male childs keep on the legacy going and so on and so forth with your last name, but the legacy is not even just in the name. The name is just a name. The name, the legacy comes from what we teach and instill. What's good of having legacy be manifest, as far as carrying on a name, but you ain't got no substance.
Hmm.
You not teaching nothing to nobody. You're not passing down good ground or good word to the next generation. What are we doing to continue? So legacy comes from in building generational wealth. That's a whole different topic for another day. But we get so caught up in the noise of what the world says is reality. But the truth is, God said that we are to instruct our children in the way that they should go, so that when they get older, they shall not depart from it. And I think when we do that, we instill into them their identity, and then and then God is the one that brings the increase in that.
Let's go back to Dr. Joseph. He says, I disagree with the comments on Man Up.
He texted me
Well,
that
that's
too.
cool.
Well, I don't know exactly what he disagrees with, but I
I told
mean,
him to.
they disagree with all of us.
He says one of the main responsibilities of being a man is to teach young men how to man up.
What does that look like though? What do you consider manning up?
Dr. Joseph, would you like to come on? You're welcome to
You
join
want to?
us.
You want the link that? I think what he's talking about, if and I could be, because I'm a product of him. I think what he's talking about is the teaching aspect of it, what it means to be a man, right? What does it mean, like, men raising men? We always say that a woman can't teach a man how to be a man. Only a man can teach a man how to be a man. I think that's where he's coming from. He might have missed the first part where we were talking about the negative connotations to it. um but yeah, I can send them the link if you want me to. But
Yeah,
yeah,
just like for me, I can't teach my son to be a man.
Right.
I cannot
But
teach him that, no matter how hard I try. I can't do it, and I don't try to teach him how to be a man. But what
but
I do is lead him to the word. I'm sorry, this is not my panel.
no, no, no. No, I was gonna say, but there's no cookie cutter way to be a man.
Right.
There are men are they we have many different facets.
right,
So one thing that you might call being a man, somebody else be like, man, that's kind of lame. So it just I don't get confused by statements like that. No disrespect, it makes no sense to me because what I think could be a man, somebody else think is dumb. Like prime example, I may think I got no problem with being a bonus parent, step parent, whatever you want to call me. Some guys think it's less of a man to take care of other people's children. But in
Really?
my mind, in
really,
my mind, I already know that when I get married, I'm going to be getting to a blended family.
Mm-hmm.
So I already know that if this woman's got children, I got to provide for them. I
Mm-hmm.
know this
right,
already. But you have a sect, SECT, of men that believe You should only have children with one woman, and you stay with that woman for the rest of your life, and it makes you weak to take care of somebody else's seed. I don't see that.
I think it's the opposite. I think that if you have the heart, because in all transparency, because I was married before my first wife had kids, and I raised the two boys as my own, and and even now my wife has a son. I'm a bonus dad, but I'm his dad. Like he knows me as dad. I think
Right.
it's admirable. Not even because I've done it, but it's why would you not? Like how can I
I agree
expect
with you,
her to
brother.
give me a how can I expect my wife to give me a seed together and I don't take care of the entire conglomerate of like that makes no sense to me. I think it takes a special man to say, you know what, you might not have come from me, but you come from the God that we serve
Right.
together. And I
Right.
think that's the difference, because Joseph wasn't Jesus' biological father. Let's be honest about it. But he showed him how to be a carpenter because Joseph was a
Yep.
carpenter. He got him
Absolutely.
to where he needed to go in a certain amount of
Yep.
time or a certain time period. And so his work wasn't needed anymore.
Uh-huh.
And
I,
so I think
I
that it
agree
takes,
with you.
because
I agree with
he's our
you.
example. He's our biggest
Yeah.
example. You carrying the Son of God. I'm sorry, because we about to get married to who? What's happening here? And you're trying to
Exactly.
convince me, Joseph, and it's funny because my name is Joseph, that you're carrying the Son of God, and you want me to still marry you and still raise this child with you. That's a hard. I can imagine what Joseph was going through in his mind.
That's why that angel had to intervene, my brother.
Had to. It's like
That's why
no
that
way.
angel had to intervene.
Because Joseph didn't take it. Oh, okay.
Hey, no, because she's about to get stoned. And that
But
rock just like this.
he thought
Say
Mary
what
tipped
now?
out. He thought Mary tipped out on him.
Right.
Exactly.
So so let's go on because I want Dr. Johnson on. But anyway, what's your responsibility in the household, man? Here he
Say
comes.
that. What's the question again?
Is he on?
He no,
Oh,
he just has
okay. Okay.
being a man, moreover, teaching your young men how to man up should first line up with the word of God, of course.
Right.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
what's your responsibility in the household?
This is funny to me. I'm gonna let y'all answer first.
Take out the garbage.
He said, "Take out the garbage."
Are we talking about gender roles or
Your
the
responsibility
responsibilities?
as the man of God, the way God intended it to be.
Well,
So
I
taking out
mean,
the garbage.
That's a joke. It's a joke.
okay. So look, here's the thing, though. I personally don't believe in gender roles. Okay.
Mhm.
Growing up, I told you I was around my dad's family a lot. I never saw my uncles cutting grass. I never saw my
Hmm.
aunties cooking. It was always opposite. My aunties took care of my grandparents' house. They did all the grass cutting. They did all of those things. The men, they did cooking. They washed clothes. They did all of that stuff. So if I see a woman cutting grass, it doesn't bother me because I believe in you do whatever you are better at. Some women are better at cutting grass than men are. That's just a simple truth.
So,
Some guys don't know anything about a lawnmower. Uh, I got a Facebook friend yesterday. She was trying to install a ring camera, and she was like, "What's a drill bit?" I was like, "Don't feel bad. Some dudes don't even know what a drill bit is." So I mean, it is what it is. I don't really like my job as as a believer, a believing husband is to teach my family about God and not only just teach them about God, but walk the way that
Yeah.
God would walk before
Yeah.
them.
mhm.
Because my goal is to return them jokers back to God in one piece as responsible adults. That's it.
I do teach my son how to treat women, though. I don't teach him how to be a man, but hold the door, walk on the
Hmm.
right side of the street. So I don't know how much he's paying attention until he went walking with my sister. And they were walking, and he said, I'm supposed to be on the outside. But
Hmm.
he also forgot that I told him, I'm going to walk on the outside because I'm older
Hmm.
and I have to protect him now.
Right.
But
Hmm.
the roles are going to be reversed. But then there's a neighbor in my sister's area who cuts the grass. And he said to my sister, shouldn't her husband be out here cutting the grass? So you look at gender roles like that. So with a child, with me teaching him responsibility, a young man of being a young man, he looks at that and thinks that's not something that a woman should be out there doing.
Like I said, I didn't see it, so it
I
to me it doesn't matter.
it matters to me,
Now I
Okay.
want
and
to
I'm
cut my own grass. I want to cut my own grass, but I didn't see it growing up, so it wasn't weird to me.
okay.
Like certain things like taking out the trash, that's fine. But I don't think a woman should be up under her hood if a male is present, right?
Or
I
What
pumping
think
her
so
own
would they
gas.
love it though?
if a man is present, I don't think that a woman should be out there shoveling. That's
Right.
just me.
Oh well, yeah,
Do you
yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Or
It's
pumping her
not
own
about
gas.
gender roles. It's about, you know, no, this is something I'm going to do. This is strenuous work.
Well, it isn't really about gender role because I'm like, if my ex-wife, well, she never shoveled. I did all the shovel. But the moment if a woman wants to go out there, shovel, cut the grass, or do whatever, and the moment you tell her that she can't do it, then it becomes an issue, right? Because are you saying I can't do this because I'm a woman? And like like I'm saying, I'm not going to tell you that you need to go out there and cut the grass and you go out there and shovel, but I'm not going to stop you if you want to do it, because if you're capable of doing it, why not? And I'll be right out there with you, helping you. So again, I think some of it does come down to what we think a gender should do. I'll tell you right now, there's women out there who knows more about cars than I do. And if I
Right.
Right.
find a woman who knows about car,
And
I want to be looking under that
and
hood.
and they love it. They love it too, Ray.
They love it too.
They
So
love it. Yeah.
There's
I,
nothing wrong with it. And I can do some of those things as well. But if a male is
If a
present,
man is present,
I'm not doing it.
I
but
have a
again, like I'm
right.
saying, if my lady wants to go out there and shovel, like I said, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to be right out there with her shoveling, right? I'm
Right.
not going to
That's
do it like
different.
it's yours. So all I'm saying is there's a difference here. All I'm saying, if she wants to do it,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm not going to stand in her way and say you can't do it. That's
Good
all I'm
cardio.
saying,
It's
right?
good cardio.
Good cardio.
It's good cardio. See, I didn't. I
Each
grew up in the
dynamic
South,
is
so I ain't had
different.
to. I ain't have to. I grew up in the South. We didn't have to shovel anything, so it's all good with me.
Each dynamic is different.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So I think we're talking about a little dynamic, and I think I'll agree with you. Like you said, I'm not going to sit here and watch my woman out there doing all the work while I'm sitting there unless I'm just sick and tore up and can't move for some reason. But again, the dynamic that I'm talking about, if she wants to do it and she's capable of doing it, I'm not going to tell her. I might say, well, I'll go do it, but again, if she gets stressed and want to go out there and do it, you know, she's capable, and it's not. Some people might look at it that I'm advocating my duties to her. No, that's not it. But to a certain extent, we all have to admit that when a woman wants to do something, the last thing a man, most men wants to do is to stand and say you can't do it, because then now you're, and I don't know what for men to say you're emasculating me. Now you are discriminating against women that she can't do certain things. And so I think it's one of those things you want to be careful of and know the dynamic that you're working with, as opposed to kind of say, make it a rule to say, hey, I'm the only one who can do this, or, whatever the case might be.
Mhm. I think it's very important, though, that men do teach their daughters and their wives how to, in the event that something does happen to him.
Right.
So if he's ill or if he passes away, they know how to still operate some things. I've witnessed women who
Hmm.
have to sell the car because they never learned to drive because
Mhm.
Right.
they always
Right.
depended on the male,
Hmm.
or they don't know how to work the lawnmower because the husband always did it, or don't know how to fix a flat tire when the husband is miles away from you. You need to know how to change that tire.
Right.
Well, I was just
I
about
think
to
it's also
say,
important too, though, for a woman to know when to step back when the man is present and allow
Absolutely.
him.
Absolutely.
well, see,
Now, that
that's
brings me to my next question. Go ahead, Daryl.
no, okay. So with this whole everything that we're saying right now, I think it also depends on a case by case basis. Okay, I'm a
Mhm.
truck driver, right? So if I'm going from Monday through Friday, I don't want my wife to wait until I get home Friday to have trash built up in the house.
Right.
So the trash needs to go
Different
out.
dynamic.
yeah, it's the dynamic. I just think that, like like my brother Thomas said, I appreciate that strong, independent woman being in the position that I'm in because I need for you to be able to make a decision that's going to benefit not just you but the whole household, the whole family, and make the righteous decision of. And it's not even that hard of a decision. Do I need to take the trash out today or not? Simple as that. I don't want to have to come home and I'm like, what is that smell? Oh, that's the garbage. You need to take it out. Come on now. At least take it out the house and put it in the garage. Do something.
I don't know what type of woman that was to want to sit there and smell garbage until her husband comes home. That's another podcast. However,
I'm just saying though, you get what I'm saying though, right?
I get you, but see that's an argument right there. But nonetheless,
You
what
fighting over
type of
anything.
exactly what type of godly women or woman are you looking for?
Oh heck no, I'm not answering that.
I'm already married, so
I'm not answering that.
I'm excused from this.
Women that's listening and wanting to know about godly men and what they look
Uh-uh.
for in women. Answer the
Nope.
question.
No ma'am. You know why I'm not
Am I the
answering
only
it?
married person on here?
Because if you answer that question, right, a lot of times people could try to conform to become that person,
You'll
and then
know because
here,
you feel the Holy Spirit will tell you.
yeah, you're right. The Holy Spirit told me that to answer the question. How about that? No, I'm just playing.
Don't hurt the Lord for lying.
No, just like okay, I can answer it. God dog it. Oh, you want Ray to go first?
No,
Cause,
no, no. You got
cause,
the mic, man, and then
'cause Ray,
I
Pastor
can
Thomas.
answer it.
Go ahead.
Ray and Pastor Thomas are probably closer to marriage than I am right now. So
I can
I'm
answer it.
I'm excused from this
Go ahead,
question.
Pastor Thomas.
I just want somebody that knows Yah, period. How is your relationship with him? You don't have to be a pastor, a prophetess, an intercessor. Just have your relationship straight with him. That's it.
So she
If
knows him. She knows him, but she can't cook. She don't know how to clean. She don't know how to sew. She don't know how to take care of the kids. So that's okay.
then she's gonna have to be successful somewhere else.
and
Not
you
for
know
me.
what? I agree with you, brother. I agree with you 100%. Because
It-
all women aren't domestic these days.
right.
Oh, y'all too much.
We're
She's
not
just
trying to
not
marry our grandmothers.
Next.
the one for me. That's it. But
Okay.
primarily, she just has to be good with him.
Okay. I get it.
Do you want me to answer? I'll answer if you want me to
I
answer. You want me to
want you
answer?
to answer the question.
Oh gosh. Okay. So absolutely. So the baseline is she has to be saved and delivered. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, I want a partner. Somebody. I just had a conversation with somebody about this earlier today. I want a partner. Like I said earlier, I know that I'm coming into a relationship, and it's going to be a mixed family. I don't want to feel as if though that I got to carry the whole family and I can't take time off. Like I don't want somebody to become complacent and comfortable where I get to the point where I can't take a week off, for family vacation, and then I come back, Georgia Power knocking on the door to, turn the lights off. I want it. I again, I don't want to be the administrator of our house. I would like for my wife to be our administrator. So if I'm out on the road, when I get back home, I want to be able to open the refrigerator and see more than a light bulb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I want to be able to hit that light switch and it comes on.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'll provide the money. I'll put it there. You do whatever you got to do, but just make sure it's executed. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And she got to be fine too. I ain't that part. I'm not leaving that out. I'm not leaving that out. I ain't telling. I ain't.
Easy
I
on the
would
eye.
suggest to nobody.
What's your definition of fine?
For me, she got to be at least 5'7". She got to be jiggly. She got to have that big old booty. And you know what? Why do we have to get on
This
me
girl
about
for
this,
your
man?
Well,
life.
I see right now I have to put a disclaimer on YouTube. Okay, so
The YouTube channel.
Ray, before
She
we
got
go
to be
on.
black. She got to be black too.
Okay, all right. That's it.
No, it's a lot more, but that's a whole other podcast.
Ladies, you heard him. Okay, Joseph.
I'm married, so I don't have to answer.
But before you got married, what type of woman were you looking for? Did you find her?
I did actually. I
Okay.
was about to say, are we talking about?
Here's what she has to say.
Thanks, babe.
This her? Oh,
There
okay.
you go.
Okay,
See,
so
she
she
just be
answered it
turning.
for him, Ray.
It's gonna be a great night tonight. Let's just
I see. You want me to come get the kids? All right.
That's a different show.
That's a different
Let's keep it
show.
there.
But I will say, I'm before Ray, I will say before, because if you're talking about Joseph before now, then
I'm
that
not going to
person,
get you in trouble. We're going to stop you.
right? That
Okay,
I
Ray.
thank God for deliverance.
Leave it there, Ray. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm going with Pastor Thomas there. I want a woman who's committed to the Lord, right? And I believe the Holy Spirit will teach her things. Like I said, I don't care if you're a prophet, pastor, preacher, whatever you want to call yourself. As a matter of fact, I'd probably rather you not, because just someone just who loved the Lord, because you can get too caught up in this title and what you're supposed to be doing rather than just simply loving the Lord. But I want somebody who love the Lord, who understands. I'm not asking. I think there's certain things that I'm going to help shape her in how she should develop, and there's other ways she's going to shape me about my development and becoming bigger, better, and stronger. Right. So it's that person's committed to the Lord, committed to a relationship, committed to us as a unit, not just my way and this is
Mhm.
what I want to see, and certainly not just I'm gonna come and chill and watch you do everything and I'm not gonna do anything. All right. So you have to have that person who's committed to the Lord, committed to you at me. I guess I'm talking about me and the relationship, right? And so that we can work together as a unit, as one, and come together.
Awesome. I have a question, my last question for you guys, I think. As a man, what or whom do you consider a role model and why?
Mm. Wow. Dead or
Uh,
alive?
for me,
Mhm.
I still consider my grandfather. Again, we hear you mentioned so many times. I consider him as a role model because he did model some good things for me coming up. He did model how to deal with hardships. He did model how to just be friendly. He did model as best as he could, how to be a man. I didn't know it was teaching me those until years later, right? When I can look back and say, Grandpa, you did well there. So my heart, just 100% still admire my maternal grandfather. I just think that he's just that kind of man, and I wish I knew what I knew now, because then I would spend more time at his feet learning from him, and hopefully along the way I would have been a better person sooner. But I can look back and I can take a lot of those lessons and apply to where I am in life right now.
Awesome. Uh, Joseph.
I'm sorry, I sounded like a little kid with that one.
Yeah, you
I
did.
was, I feel like I have a lot of role models. I'll definitely say the godparents that I've had
Mhm.
were definite role models. Um, when it came to like both of my godmothers were very well taken care of. Um, from my godfather Ali, I saw the love and compassion that he had for my godmother.
Mhm.
Um, for Uncle Russell, he definitely he provided, but he also, you saw they had a blended family as well. So it's funny because both of my sets of my godparents had blended families. They were married in that regard. My definitely my dad. I would say my dad from the standpoint of showing me how to be a provider, and even when you're not, you maybe not be physically present in the home, because of a separation or a divorce. He always provided. We never didn't not have. So I can say that, and my grandfather, my mom's dad, definitely showing me ways of manhood, and so it's a lot of facets. A lot God has placed a lot of people strategically in my life, and the list can definitely go on if I really sat to really think about it. But I would definitely say those four are very like influential from adulthood to even from childhood to even present.
Okay. Pastor Thomas.
I definitely have to say my father, um, good and bad. He's not perfect, but he's he's shown me how to be a provider, how to develop a relationship with the Most High, and I think that's one of the most important things uh, in my life. So I would have to say the greatest influence in my life, role model, has to be him. And again, there are some things that he may not have demonstrated that I know. Hey, if he's not a hugger, I'm a hugger.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to be the greatest male role model in my life.
Awesome. Daryl.
I'm gonna go with my dad's dad, my grandfather, my dad. Although he was absent, he still taught me a lot. I have a couple of uncles I can say. Some of my friends, like peers, actually, I call them role models. My old pastor. I mean, a few people, a handful of people that I could call role models, like real good men. In the earth and on the earth.
Okay. I have one more question before we close. It just came to me, and I think about how, men and women meet, and one may live in one state, the other may live in another, or they may go to two separate churches. Whose responsibility is it to relocate or to join the other church?
Strictly the church is what we're talking about.
Both relocating from state to state, country to country, or either church to church.
Me
Yeah.
personally, I think you guys should come together and make that decision because I'm sure there are some benefits in my church, just like there's gonna be some benefits in hers, hopefully. But the thing about it is, though, I've been seeing over the years that been on a dating scene, a lot of single women, if they're not careful, they make their pastors their gods,
Hmm.
and they don't want to
Hmm.
leave that situation,
Mm-hmm.
afraid that they won't be able to get what they're getting where they are. Why it's like that, I don't know. But at the end of the day, I asked, I'm like, hey, I ask people up front because of the stuff I've gone through. Are you still married to your mom and dad? Are you still married to your children? And are you still married to your pastor? If either of those situations is yes, I know we can't move forward.
Mm, great, great. Okay, rest of you.
I mean, I absolutely agree. That's a joint decision right there. I mean, it's not one person. There are different factors playing in there, and so unless you want some trouble in the home, hope it's a joint decision right there
Right.
because a lot of resentment can set in later on.
Mm-hmm.
You had me move from here to there. You had me leave this church to that there. And if it's not a joint, it's just one person forcing it, and hopefully it's not one person forcing it, just one person getting their way. So but certainly if just talk about going to church. I think the changing cities, if you're going to be together, that's just got to be, But certainly, you got. I think you got to be fed at the same place.
Right.
She can't be fed over here, and I'm feeding over there.
Right.
I think we have to drink from the same water and eat from the same pot. So
Right.
um, just it's a joint decision to me.
Great, Pastor.
Well, I led by example. So my wife was living in Wilmington. I was in New Jersey. So I actually moved to Wilmington, knowing eventually that she would move here. So it was kind of just let me do this, knowing that we're going to end up here. Um, uh, but during that time, we stayed at my dad's church, so she had to leave her church. Um, but again, I think was once she realized that she was going to be fed as good or better
Mm-hmm.
um, at my dad's church, she was okay with relinquishing her membership there
Okay.
at her church in Wilmington. So the marriage itself didn't work out, but at least it was to me there was fairness, if that's a good term. There was some fairness in that. I went down first, moved down, then we moved up. Um, so it was leading by example. But it has to be a joint decision. It has to be a joint decision.
You answered already, right, Daryl?
Yes, ma'am. If
I
you still
didn't.
Do
married
you
to
feel
your parents, time to go.
do you feel like you feel comfortable in answering this question, Joseph?
Oh yeah, I'm fine with that. I think it definitely has to be a joint. It should be a joint Holy Spirit decision. I feel like the old way of doing things, as far as when I say old ways, like back in the day, typically if a man and woman got married, and the husband was in a particular church, the wife came over to the husband's church. And I think that's pretty much what the standard, so to speak, society standard is. The husband, because I've heard people say that, she's supposed to come where you are, and whatever. So, but what if you go over where she is? Um, they should be eating from the same table. But yes,
Absolutely.
they but even in that, that could cause a bit of uncomfortability too. I definitely believe that from church to church, it should be a prayed, a definite time in prayer and seeking God and letting Him lead the decision with that. Even with the whole move, it's love happens in the most awkward of places. You can be here and there. Somebody's got to, like Ray said, somebody's got to meet in the middle because we got to have some type of a relationship, And so I think that's where trusting in the Holy Spirit leading and guiding in that as well, because it's not an easy decision. Somebody is going to leave and be uncomfortable in some way, shape, or form. And when
Hmm.
that person is uncomfortable, then if you're with the right person, the person that you're with should be uncomfortable as well, and try to make you feel and be welcome and feel comfortable as well. If that makes sense.
Makes sense. I had a question that I did not ask you guys, and I'm not going to ask you because
If you brought it up, you got to ask
Yeah, you
because
got that. You brought it up now.
don't try to act like y'all are tough now. No, seriously, no.
We got another hour left in us. We can do this.
Another hour. Um, I was about to say something. No. As a man, how do you respond in an environment where there are multiple authoritative figures and male figures, right? And do you shy away or step up and express your opinion on matters?
You say multiple?
Multiple.
well, I mean, I don't know what situation that is, but
Yeah,
I think you just have to be discerning about when it is right for you to speak up and what are you
pretty
Yeah.
supposed to
much.
speak about. We can't go in there. We're just gonna blast our way in and say whatever we want to say. You have to use the term read the room, and
Right.
really kind of know when it's proper, when it's right, and what to say in that situation. So it's to me, it shouldn't be about, I gotta, I gotta be the quote unquote alpha male in the room. It should be definitely, and if we're led by the Spirit, then we will know when to keep quiet. We'll know when to
Right.
speak. So
Hmm.
I think it's just a matter of knowing the situation, knowing who you are, being comfortable who you are, and speak as
Needed.
necessary.
Yep.
Mhm. I'm gonna need Pastor Thomas to get married so his wife can teach him how to sit still.
My battery is running down. I'm trying to
We about to we about to close.
I'm trying to keep it from going out. I do apologize. This is like the second time I'm trying to connect and it's not connecting. I
That's
do
okay. I'm
apologize.
just praising God. Ours didn't go out. Did you guys answer? Everyone answered?
I
That's
think we
on
all agree
What's
with
the
Ray.
question again?
We all agree? Okay. Well, thank you, men. We're not having a part four of this.
Praise God. We're good.
Yeah, so we should be good. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Joseph, thank you for being a part of this panel discussion tonight. You have any closing words that you would like to say?
I appreciate the invite, and this is, as we've talked about, and I'm pretty much open in what I'm, the healing and so on and so forth. I feel like this is talks that are needed.
Mhm.
It's funny because I was in communication with Daryl a few days ago, or probably yesterday, And there's a definite need in the earth, especially in our community, to have types of conversations like this, that men can come together, pick each other's brains, because just how I'm feeling about something, Daryl, Pastor Thomas, Ray can be feeling the exact same way, but we don't talk about it as a community because it's not something that we were taught to talk about. We were
Right.
taught to hold it all in and not have any, type of emotions to it whatsoever. One of the things that I love about my grandfather, and I'm making this really short, he is the type of person that he's going to tell you how he feels. If he's upset, he's going to kick, scream, holler, cuss, all you name it. But only one time in his life, maybe twice in my lifetime, have I ever known him to be sick.
Mm,
Twice in my 34 years. And he's about to be 90 in July.
mm,
So there's something that comes from being expressive, releasing it and letting it go. Because
Right.
when we don't have forums like this and people can't hear our voice, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And I feel like this is something that's definitely needed. So, Pastor Sherry, I thank you for this opportunity because it's definitely needed.
you're welcome. There's a lady that was 100, I believe she was 105 years old, and they asked her, how did she live so long and be in good health? And she said, by minding her business. So that's
Makes
true.
sense to me.
It makes sense. You're not stressed out
Right.
over other people's problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. Do you guys have any closing remarks before we close out?
Ray does.
Thanks, Pastor. Uh,
Right.
no, I'm just going to echo that because again, just talking about my grandfather, he lived to be 102 years old, and I've never seen that man a day stressed out in his life.
Mm,
All right, because nothing that was happening around him was so serious that he needed to be stressed out, needed to cuss out somebody or anything like that. He was absolutely the most mellow person I ever know.
mm.
So there is something there. But anyway, that being said, thank you all for joining us, and I hope you receive something from this podcast here. Sorry, Sherry, I'm doing a job for you.
That's
So
okay.
hope y'all receive something. And there's something different. There is no, as mentioned in earlier in the show, there's no cookie cutter of what a man is. You can line up 100 people and ask them, every one of them would have a definition of what a man should be. But I think where a man begins is to knowing God and knowing who you are in God. And that will set you on the path of becoming the man that God would want you to be. That's it. I'm done.
Wow.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's it for us tonight. Please join us next week for sexual problems in the marriage.
Oh boy.
That's next
Wow.
week. Real life issues need to be discussed in the church, right?
Amen.
All right. So there you have it. Thank you all for joining us. Have a blessed and wonderful night.
Thank y'all.
Please join us again next week for another riveting, informative segment of His Will for Your Life.